Hi guys, we're going to finish up ELA 6th grade. We're going to do the idioms test together. Remember, the idioms are like a saying. I was just telling Morgan that he's on thin ice. It doesn't really mean that he's on thin ice, of course, but that he's on my last nerve. That he needs to watch his back. All those things. Those are idioms, okay? So they're sayings, but they're not literal, okay? I'm sure every one of us, the parents, are feeling the same thing about the kids being on their last nerve. It's not true, but it feels true.
It is true.
Okay, so you have an idioms test. It's 15 questions. We're going to do about 5 of them together, and then I'm going to read the rest of them for you to do on your own, okay? All right, so number 1, after going to the zoo, the mall, and the movies, which I wish we could do, Cassie was sick of bending over backwards to entertain her nieces. Did she literally bend over backwards? One thing, if I tried to, I'd probably break something, so that's not going to happen, and I don't think she's doing it either. All right, so was Cassie was doing very little to entertain her nieces? Cassie was making small efforts to entertain her nieces? Cassie was trying very hard to entertain her nieces? Or Cassie was not trying at all to entertain her nieces? So Cassie just took her nieces to the zoo, the mall, and the movies. Do you think she was trying hard or not trying at all? I think she was trying pretty hard. So, of course, the answer would be C on number 1. I'm going to read number 2. Bobby would have been playing ball until the cows came home if it hadn't been for Susie dragging him home for dinner. So he was playing ball. He would have stayed there until the cows came home. Okay? Was it A, Bobby was just about to stop playing ball? B, Bobby didn't even want to play ball to begin with? C, Bobby prefers nature to athletics? D, Bobby would have continued playing ball for a long time. I'll leave that one for you. Number 3, Mr. Johnson was very particular about the arrangement of his classroom. So the things he hated most was when his students caused a ruckus with their wild horseplay. Oh my goodness, I would be too. Right? All right, so horseplay. A, Mr. Johnson hated when his students pretended to be animals. So that's like kind of literally the meaning. So think about that. B, Mr. Johnson hated when his students played sports. C, Mr. Johnson hated when his students wrestled around with each other. Or D, Mr. Johnson hated when his students made animal noises. Although they may all be true, find the one that matches horseplay. Skip it and move on to the next. I'll check it all.
Now when I get a passage?
Yes. Number 4. Number 4, I'm finding work for Morgan as well because he's doing his own right now. And I'm not able to help him as much as I should because I'm trying to get all this done. And I had taken a day off because I was sad, which is something that happens. Your mom, your dad, whoever you're with, grandma, might end up having a sad day and they may just not feel like doing anything, and that's completely okay. You might get a sad day and you might not feel like doing anything, and that's completely okay. We're all doing the same thing. We're all suffering. We're all, at home. I'd rather be at school. I think probably by the end of this, y'all will probably rather be at school too. Okay? All right, so we're going to go on to number 4. Eric wanted to fix his cousin's computer, but he was already having problems setting up his aunt's Wi-Fi network, and he didn't want to open a whole new can of worms. Make sure you're doing all your strategies. Hashtags, all that. Whatever you do then. 3-word summary?
We do 3 words on each
Okay.
paragraph. That's the only one that I know.
All right. A, Eric was sick of spending his time helping his family. B, Eric wanted to go fishing instead of working on computers. C, Eric was having difficulties untangling the computer's wires. D, Eric was not ready to begin working on a complicated new problem. Number 5, even though Candace already had a new job, she submitted her 2-week notice and conducted herself in a professional way at her old job because she didn't want to burn bridges. So she she was working. She gave her 2 weeks notice, but she's not going to just slough off for 2 weeks. She's going to continue to work good because she doesn't want to burn any bridges. So let's see what that could mean. We're going to answer this one together. A, Candace didn't want to ruin her positive relationship with her old employer. B, Candace wasn't ready to start her new job. C, Candace was really going to miss her old job. D, Candace was waiting until her last day to rub it in everyone's face that she was leaving. No. She didn't want to burn any bridges. She didn't want to cause any problems with her old employer. She may need her old employer for a reference, or she might need to go back to that old job. You never know. So it's A. Okay, number 6. World-renowned country western supergroup The Mountain Boys can sell out an arena at the drop of a hat. A, the Mountain Boys may be able to sell out an arena, but it will take a long time. B, the Mountain Boys can sell out an arena very quickly. C, the Mountain Boys are always willing to perform at charity events. D, the Mountain Boys enforce a dress code at all of their shows. Number 7, Vivian expected Craig to sob uncontrollably when she broke up with him. However, Craig kept a stiff upper lip. A, Craig cried even more than Vivian had expected. B, Craig cried about as much as Vivian had expected. C, Craig cried a little less than Vivian had expected. Or D, Craig did not cry. Okay. Number 8. Mrs. Robinson expects Cassie and my presentation to be good, but we have been working on it every night for the last week, so we're really going to knock her socks off. Okay. A, Cassie and the speaker are not prepared to give a good presentation. B, Cassie and the speaker intend on hitting Mrs. Robinson rather than presenting. C, Cassie and the speaker's presentation will far exceed Miss Robinson's expectation. D, Cassie and the speaker's presentation will meet Miss Robinson's expectations. Number 9. Over the summer, Brian was really excited about being placed in the advanced math class, but after getting his syllabus on the first day and seeing the workload, he was ready to jump ship. A, Brian was even more excited about the math class than he was over the summer. B, Brian wanted to start working on his math assignments right away. C, Brian did not want to be in the advanced math class anymore. D, Brian wanted to cause some trouble in the advanced math class. Okay. Number 10, we're going to do this one together. Jose had a hard time comparing the iPhone to the Samsung phone because to him they were apples and oranges. A, Jose can hardly tell the difference between the two phones because they are so similar. If any of you have ever had an iPhone and a Samsung and you've seen them, they're totally different. So that doesn't even make sense. Apples and oranges are not the same.
No, they are not.
B, Jose believes that the phones are so different from one another that they cannot be compared. C, Jose doesn't know anything about phones, so he may as well be thinking about fruits. That's pretty silly.
What?
D, Jose is too hungry to think about phones at this time. Okay, you can really eliminate the silly answers. And of course, he's trying to compare the Samsung and the iPhone, and they're not. You can't compare them because that's B. Number 11, when Brian felt pretty good about getting a pair of roller skates for his birthday until he saw his twin brother Ryan open up his Gamebox X9000, and then Brian felt like he got the short end of the stick. A, Brian felt like Ryan received a better gift than he. B, Brian was quite pleased with his roller skates. C, Brian wanted a long stick that he could use to support himself on hikes. D, Brian feels bad for Ryan because Ryan wanted roller skates. 12, after Miss Smith caught Darnisha chewing gum for the 3rd time, Miss Smith scheduled a parent-teacher conference with Darnisha's mother. When Darnisha's mother came into Miss Smith's classroom, she was chewing gum. Miss Smith thought to herself, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. You may have heard teachers say this. Not sure. A, Miss Smith thinks that Darnisha dresses like her mother. B, Miss Smith thinks that Darnisha acts a lot like her mother. C, Miss Smith is surprised to see that Darnisha's mother came. Or D, Miss Smith thinks that Darnisha's mother lives very close to the school. Number 13, Brad was accusing us of stealing his phone till he found it, and now he's trying to sweep it under the rug. I do this a lot. I know that I've done something wrong or said something wrong, and then I try to blow it off. Or, oh, that's also an idiom. Or sweep it under the rug. A, Brad thinks that his phone will be safer if he hides it under the rug.
No.
B, Brad wants to do something to make up for his mistake. C, Brad is trying to locate a signal for his phone so that he can use it. Or D, Brad wants to pretend that the incident never happened. Number 14, Keisha got up and started yelling at Ronnie and threatened him, but Ronnie didn't even flinch because he knew that her bark was worse than her bite. A, Ronnie thinks that Keisha will get in trouble for yelling. B, Ronnie thinks that Keisha has bad breath. C, Ronnie thinks that Keisha is loud but not dangerous. D, Ronnie thinks that Keisha has a crush on him. Last one, we're going to work on this one together. You might think that Billy Parker is the kid who has everything. But if you saw the list of chores his parents give him, I guarantee you wouldn't want to be in his shoes. Okay, so he has a lot of chores to do. That means that you wouldn't want to have to do what he's got to do, right? A, you wouldn't want your shoes to get as dirty as Billy's when he's doing his chores? No. B, if you have to do as many chores as Billy, you'll want a pair of comfortable shoes. C, Billy's shoes are so uncomfortable that doing his chores is really unpleasant. D, Billy has so many chores to do that it is unpleasant to imagine doing them all. Thank you. All right, so we have knocked off, that's another idiom, all of our lessons for ELA for the week. Yay! All right, so I'll see you again next week.